Hi everyone, welcome back to Wiki's NEET Prep. In this video, we are going to continue the human health and disease topic. The part 1 link is provided in the description. You can watch it first and then come to this part 2 video. In part 1, we had discussed about common diseases in humans. From part 2, we'll discuss about immunity, AIDS, cancer, and drugs and alcohol abuse. Let us go into our topic. Our present topic is immunity. Every day we are exposed to large number of infectious agents. Only a few of these exposures result in disease and body is able to defend itself from most of these foreign agents. The overall ability of the host to fight the disease causing organisms conferred by the immune system is called immunity. Immunity is one of two types, innate immunity and acquired immunity. Innate immunity. Innate immunity is non-specific type of defense that is present at the time of birth. This is accomplished by providing different types of barriers to the entry of the foreign agents into our body. Innate immunity consists of four types of barriers. These are physical barriers, physiological barriers, cellular barriers, and cytokine barriers. Physical barrier. Skin on our body is the main barrier which prevents entry of the microorganisms. Mucus coating of the epithelium lining the respiratory, gastrointestinal, and urogenital tracts also help in trapping microbes entering our body. Physiological barriers. Acid in the stomach, saliva in the mouth, tears from the eyes all prevent microbial growth. Cellular barriers. Certain types of leukocytes like WBC of our body like polymorphonuclear leukocytes, PMNL, neutrophils and monocytes and natural killer type of lymphocytes in the blood as well as the macrophages in tissues can phagocytose and destroy microbes. Cytokine barriers. Virus infected cells secrete proteins called interferons which protect non infected cells from further viral infection. Cytokine barriers. Virus infected cells secrete proteins called interferons which protect non infected cells from further viral infection. Acquired immunity. Acquired immunity, on the other hand, is pathogen specific and characterized by memory. This means when our body encounters a pathogen for the first time, it produces a response called primary response, which is of low intensity. Subsequent encounter with the same pathogen inflicts a intensified secondary or amnestic response. This is ascribed to the fact that our body appears to have memory for the first encounter. The primary and the secondary immune responses are carried out with the help of two special types of lymphocytes present in our blood, that is B lymphocytes, T lymphocytes. The B lymphocytes produce an army of proteins in response to the pathogens into our blood to fight with them. These proteins are called antibodies. The T cells themselves do not secrete antibodies but help B cells to produce them. Each antibody molecule has four peptide chains, two small called light chains and two longer called heavy chains. Hence, an antibody is represented as H2L2. Different types of antibodies are produced in our body. They are IgA, IgM, IgE, IgG are some of them. Because these antibodies are found in the blood, the response is also called as humoral immune response. This is one of the two types of our acquired immune response, antibody mediated response. This is an antibody mediated process. The second type is called cell mediated immune response or cell mediated immunity. The T lymphocytes mediate CMI are very often when some human organs like heart, eye, liver, kidney fall to function. Satisfactorily, transplantation is the only remedy to enable the patient to live a normal life. Then a search begins to find a suitable donor. Grafts from just any source or an animal, another primate, or any human being cannot be made, since the grafts would be s- rejected sooner or later. Tissue matching, blood group matching are essential before undertaking any graft or transplant, and even after this, the patient has to take immunosuppressants all his or her life. The body is able to differentiate self and non self, and the cell mediated immune response is responsible for the graft rejection. Active and passive immunity. When a host is exposed to antigens, which may be in the form of living or dead microbes or other proteins, antibodies are produced in the host body. This type of immunity is called active immunity. Active immunity is slow and takes time to give its effective response. Injecting the microbes deliberately during immunization or infectious organisms gaining access into body during natural infection induce active immunity. When ready-made antibodies are directly given to protect the body against foreign antigens, it is called passive immunity. The yellowish fluid colostrum secreted by mother during the initial days of lactation has abundant antibodies IgA to protect the infant. The fetus also receives some antibodies from their mother through the placenta during pregnancy. These are some examples of passive immunity. Vaccination and immunization. The principle of immunization or vaccination is based on the property of memory of the immune system. In vaccination, a preparation of antigenic proteins of pathogen or inactivated or weakened pathogen vaccine are introduced into the body. The antibodies produced in the body against the antigens would neutralize the pathogenic agents during actual infection. The vaccines also generate memory B and T cells that recognize the pathogen quickly on subsequent exposure and overwhelm that invaders with a massive production of antibodies. If a person is infected with some deadly microbes to which quick immune response is required, as in tetanus, we need to directly inject the performed antibodies or antitoxin. A preparation containing antitoxin means a preparation containing antibodies to the toxin. Even in cases of snake bites, the injection which is given to the patient is contain performed antibodies against the snake venom. This type of immunization is called passive immunization. Recombinant DNA technology has allowed the production of antigenic polypeptides of pathogen in bacteria or yeast. Vaccines produced using this approach allow large scale production and hence greater availability for immunization. Example, hepatitis B vaccine produced from yeast. What is allergies? When you have gone to a new place and suddenly you started sneezing, wheezing for no explained reason, and when you went away, your symptoms disappear. Some of us are sensitive to some particles in the environment. The above mentioned reaction could be because of allergy to pollen, mites, etc. The exaggregated response of the immune system to certain antigens present in the environment is called allergy. The substance to which such an immune response is produced are called allergens. The antibodies produced to these are of IgE type. Common examples of allergens are mites in dust, pollens, animal dander, etc. Symptoms of allergic reactions include sneezing, watery eyes, running nose, and difficulty in breathing. Allergy is due to the release of the chemicals like histamine and serotonin from the mast cells. For determining the cause of allergy, the patient is exposed to or injected with very small doses of possible allergens, and the reaction studied The use of drugs like antihistamine, adrenaline, and steroids quickly reduce the symptoms of allergy. Somehow, modern day lifestyle has resulted in lowering of immunity and more sensitivity to allergens. More and more children in metro cities of India suffer from allergies and asthma due to the sensitivity to the environment. This could be because of the protected environment provided early in life. Autoimmunity. Memory based acquired immunity evolved in higher vertebrates based on the ability to differentiate foreign organisms, example pathogens from cells. While we still do not understand the basis of this, two corollaries of this ability have to be understood. One, higher vertebrates can distinguish foreign molecules as well as foreign organisms, and most of the experimental immunology deals with this aspect. Two, sometimes due to genetic and other unknown reasons, the body attacks cells. This results in damage to the body and is called autoimmune disease. Rheumatoid arthritis, which affects many people in our society, is an autoimmune disease. Immune system in the body. The human immune system consists of lymphoid organs, tissues, cells, and soluble molecules like antibodies. Immune system is unique in the sense that it recognizes foreign antigens, respond to these, and remembers them. The immune system also plays an important role in allergic reactions, autoimmune disease, and organ transplantation. Lymphoid organs, these are the organs where origin and or maturation and proliferation of lymphocytes occur. The primary lymphoid organs are bone marrow and thymus, where immature lymphocytes differentiate into antigen sensitive lymphocytes. After maturation, the lymphocytes migrate to secondary lymphoid organs like spleen, lymph nodes, tonsils, Peyer's patches of small intestine, and appendix. The secondary lymphoid organs provide the sites for interaction of lymphocytes with the antigen, which then proliferate to become effector cells. The location of various lymphoid organs in the human body. The bone marrow is the main lymphoid organ where all blood cells, including lymphocytes, are produced. The thymus is a lobed organ located near the heart and bend the breastbone. The thymus is a quite large at the time of birth but keeps reducing in size with the age, and by the time puberty is attained, it reduces to a very small size. Both bone marrow and the thymus provide microenvironments for the development of maturation of T lymphocytes. The spleen is a large bean-shaped organ. It mainly contains lymphocytes and phagocytes. It acts as a filter of the blood by trapping blood-borne microorganisms. Spleen also has a large reservoir of erythrocytes. The lymph nodes are small, solid structures located at different points along the lymphatic system. Lymph nodes serve to trap the microorganisms or other antigens which happen to get into the lymph and tissue fluid. Antigens trapped in the lymph nodes are responsible for the activation of lymphocytes present there and cause the immune response. There is lymphoid tissue also located within the lining of the major tracts like respiratory, digestive, and urinogenital tracts called mucosa associated lymphoid tissue (MALT). It constitutes about 50% of the lymphoid tissue in human body. AIDS. The word AIDS stands for acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. This means deficiency of immune system acquired during the lifetime of an individual, indicating that it is not a congenital disease. Syndrome means a group of symptoms. AIDS was first reported in 1981, and in the last 25 years or so, it has spread all over the world, killing more than 25 million persons. AIDS is cured by the is caused by the human immunodeficiency virus HIV, a member of a group of viruses called retrovirus, which have an envelope enclosing the RNA genome. Transmission of HIV infection generally occurs by sexual contact with the infected person or by transfusion of contaminated blood and blood products. by sharing infected needles, as in the case of intravenous drug abusers, or from infected mother to her child through placenta. So people who are at high risk of getting this infection includes individuals who have multiple sexual partners, drug addicts who take drugs intravenously, individuals who require repeated blood transfusions, and children born to a HIV infected mother. It is important to note that HIV or AIDS is not spread by mere touch or physical contact. It spreads only through body fluids. It is hence imperative for the physical and physiological well-being that the HIV or AIDS infected person are not isolated from the family and society. There is always a time lag between the infection and appearance of AIDS symptoms. This period may vary from a few months to many years, usually 5 to 10 years. After getting into the body of the person, virus enters into macrophages where RNA genome of the virus replicates to form viral DNA. With the help of the enzyme reverse transcriptase, the viral DNA gets incorporated into the host cell's DNA and directs the infected cells to produce virus particles. The macrophages continue to produce virus and in this way acts like a HIV factory. Simultaneously, HIV enters into helper T lymphocytes (Th), replicates and produce progeny viruses. The progeny viruses released in the blood attack other helper T lymphocytes. This is repeated, leading to a progressive decrease in the number of helper T lymphocytes in the body of the infected person. During this period, the person suffers from bouts of fever, diarrhea, and weight loss. Due to the decrease in the number of helper T lymphocytes, the person starts suffering from the infections that could have been otherwise overcome, such as those due to the bacteria, especially mycobacterium viruses, fungi, bacteria like bacteria, especially mycobacterium, viruses, fungi, and even parasites like toxoplasma. The patient becomes so immunodeficient that he or she is unable to protect himself or herself against these infections. A widely used diagnostic test for AIDS is enzyme linked immunosorbent assay ELISA. Treatment of AIDS with antiretroviral drugs is only partially effective. They can only prolong the life of the patient but cannot prevent death, which is inevitable. Prevention of AIDS. As AIDS has no cure, prevention is the best option. Moreover, HIV infection more often due to conclusion spreads due to conscious behavior patterns and is not something that happens inward, inadvertently, like pneumonia or typhoid, of course. Infection in blood transfusion patients, newborns from mother, etc., may take place due to poor monitoring. The only excuse may be ignorance, and it has been rightly said, don't die of ignorance. In our country, the National AIDS Control Organization, NACO, and other non governmental organizations, NGOs, are doing a lot to educate people about AIDS. WHO has started a number of programs to prevent the spreading of HIV infection, making blood from blood banks safe from HIV, ensuring the use of only disposable needles and syringes in public and private hospitals and clinics, free distribution of condoms, controlling of drug abuse, advocating safe sex, and promoting regular checkups for HIV in susceptible populations are some such steps taken up. Infection with HIV or having AIDS is something that should not be hidden since then. The infection may spread to many more people. HIV or AIDS infected people need help and sympathy instead of being shunned by society. Unless society recognizes it as a problem to be dealt with in a collective manner, the chances of wider spread of the disease increase manifold. It is malady that can only be tackled by the society and the medical fraternity acting together to prevent the spread of the disease. Cancer. Cancer is one of the most dreaded diseases of human beings and is major cause of death all over the globe. More than a million Indians suffer from cancer and a large number of them die from it annually. The mechanisms that underlie development of cancer of oncogenic transformation of cells, its treatments and control have been some of the most intense areas research have been some of the most intense areas of research in biology and medicine. In our body, cell growth and differentiation is highly controlled and regulated. In cancer cells, there is a breakdown of these regulatory mechanism. Normal cells show a property called contract inhibition, by virtue of which contact with other cells inhibits their uncontrolled growth. Cancer cells appear to have lost this property. As a result of this, cancer cells just continue to divide, giving rise to the masses of cells called tumors. Tumors are of two types, benign and malignant. Benign tumors normally remain confined to their original location and do not spread to other parts of the body and cause little damage. The malignant tumors, on the other hand, are a mass of proliferating cells called neoplastic or tumor cells. These cells grow very rapidly, invading and damaging the surrounding normal tissues. As these cells actively divide and grow, they also strafe the normal cells by competing for vital nutrients. Cells slotted for such tumors reach distant sites through blood, and wherever they get lodged in the body, they start a new tumor there. This property called metastasis is the most feared property of malignant tumors. Causes of cancer. Transformation of normal cells into cancerous neoplastic cells may be induced by physical, chemical, or biological agents. These agents are called carcinogens. Ionizing radiations like X-rays and gamma rays on non-ionizing radiations like UV cause DNA damage, leading to neoplastic transformation. The chemical carcinogens present in the tobacco smoke have been identified as a major cause of lung cancer. Cancer causing viruses called oncogenic viruses have genes called viral oncogenes. Furthermore, several genes called cellular oncogenes, C-onc or photo-oncogenes, have been identified in the normal cells, which, when activated under the certain conditions, could lead to oncogenic transformation of the cells. Cancer detection and diagnosis. Early detection of cancer is essential as it allows the disease to be treated successfully in many cases. Cancer detection is based on the biopsy and histopathological studies of the tissue and blood and bone marrow tests for increased cell counts in the case of leukemiasis. In biopsy, a piece of the suspected tissue cut into thin sections is stained and examined under microscope. Histopathological studies by a pathologist. Techniques like radiography, use of X-rays, CT, computed tomography, and MRI, magnetic resonance imaging, are very useful to detect cancers of the internal organs. Computed tomography uses X-rays to generate a three-dimensional image to prevent three-dimensional image of the internal of an object. MRI MRI uses strong magnetic fields and non-ionizing radiations to accurately detect pathological and physiological change in the living tissue. Antibodies against cancer-specific antigens are also used for detection of certain cancers. Techniques of molecular biology can be applied to detect genes in individuals with inherited susceptibility to certain cancers. Identification of such genes which predispose an individual to certain cancers may be very helpful in prevention of cancers. Such individuals may be advised to avoid exposure to particular carcinogens to which they are susceptible. Example, tobacco smoke in case of lung cancer. Treatment of cancer. The common approaches for treatment of cancer are surgery, radiation therapy, and immunotherapy. In radiotherapy, tumor cells are irradiated, It is lethally taking proper care of the normal tissues surrounding the tumor mass. Several chemotherapeutic drugs are used to kill cancerous cells. Some of these are specific for particular tumor. Majority of the drugs have side effects like hair loss, anemia, etc. Most cancers are treated by combination of surgery, radiotherapy, and chemotherapy. Tumor cells have been shown to avoid detection and destruction by immune system. Therefore, the patients are given substances called biological response modifiers such as alpha interferon, which activates their immune system and helps in destroying the tumor. This drug and alcohol abuse will be discussed in our channel in the part 3 video of human health and disease. You can mail me through wikisneetprep@gmail.com, or you can message me on Instagram by with with my ID wikisneetprep. You can find my ID by scanning this code easily. In our channel, I had discussed about digestion and absorption, locomotion and movement, and neural control and coordination of class 11 of Unit 5 Human Physiology. And for class 12, I had discussed about biotechnology and its applications and biotechnology principles and process, strategies for enhancement and food production, microbes in human welfare are discussed till now. And human health and disease part 1 link is provided in the description. With all of these links in our channel, you can watch them if you want, if you need them. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to Big Need Prep.